Hey guys, welcome to Bear Loves Film, and this is my quick spoiler-filled review of Solo, a Star Wars story. Now, this has been heaped in controversy, this film. It currently seems to be really struggling at the cinema. I don't want to get into the ins and outs of it. There are literally dozens and dozens of videos on YouTube at the moment for people critiquing Solo as why it's failed. All I want to talk about here, guys, is just a quick summary of what I think about the film. I think Alden Ehrenreich, personally, I think he does a great job. Now, the trouble is, of course, he's not Harrison Ford. He's never gonna be Harrison Ford. So I think to enjoy this movie, you just have to get past that. You just have to understand that this isn't Harrison Ford and give Alden Ehrenreich a chance. And I think he does a really good job. He doesn't try and mimic Harrison Ford. He doesn't try and get every single intonation. He doesn't try and get the particular ticks and inflections that Ford puts into his role. But what he does is he brings a warmth and a cheeky charm to the character, and I think it works. One of the things that struck me was this was a very darkly filmed film. I didn't think the cinematography was particularly good. It certainly didn't have the grandeur of something like The Last Jedi. For all the faults of The Last Jedi, and I have a lot of faults with it, it looked beautiful. It was beautiful cinematography, beautifully framed. Solo isn't. I think quite poorly framed in a lot of ways. The first act is dark, but probably way too dark. In fact, I've heard from other people that it's so dark and grimy in places that it is a nightmare to see this film in 3D. Now, I haven't seen it in 3D because I'm not a fan of 3D films, I have to say. But obviously 3D films needs a lot more light to punch through and give you that 3D effect, and it just doesn't work in Solo from what I've gathered. The main character that stood out for me is Chewbacca. Finally, we get to see more of Chewie. One of the many things that I hated about The Last Jedi was this treatment of Chewbacca, because although everybody focuses on obviously what happens with Luke and how they destroy the essence of Luke Skywalker, and he becomes this grumpy old hermit that's into killing his extended family in their sleep. But with Chewbacca, basically in The Last Jedi, Chewbacca was virtually an Uber driver. He just picked people up and dropped them off in the Millennium Falcon, and that was about it. So this time we get to see a lot more of Chewie. We get to see him kick ass. We get to see that they really can, a Wookiee really can pull your arms off if he needs to. We also saw some other Wookiees in there. Some people have postulated that it was his family or his clan, because he was looking for his family and he's looking for his clan when Han came across him first. I don't think it was his family. I would say it's more a sort of kinship of the race, but who knows. I loved the way when after the riot at the mining planet had happened, when Chewie basically said, "Oh, this is Han, he's my friend," sort of thing to the other Wookiee, and he gave him a little ruffle on Han Solo's head. I thought that was a nice touch. It's particularly funny, of course, because that particular Wookiee is actually played by Anthony Daniels. I thought that was a nice little touch. There is much to like about this film because it is a kind of a roller coaster summer blockbuster fun ride. It's supposed to be an origin story. I'd see it as more as like a buddy cop type movie. I think that's how more I would class it. One of the things that I felt was lacking was in the villains. Now, there wasn't one clear villain, there wasn't one clear threat, there was multiple villains and multiple threats, and obviously during the film people change sides, or their allegiances change, or they basically turn on each other, or what have you. But we have the Crimson Dawn, we have Dryden Voss, we have the Empire, we have the Outriders, an Emphas Ness, we've got Lady Proxima. There's all these people in there, and of course Darth Maul as well turns up at the end. There's all these people coming there, and I think it lacks the threat. Now, and that sounds a little bit strange, because obviously it's difficult to give threat to two characters who we know are going to survive. We know that Chewie and Han aren't going to die, so it's difficult to put some threat in there. But what I felt it lacked is, I felt Paul Bettany's character, as great an actor as Paul Bettany is, it was just the sort of the charming, sort of drug lordy type of character that we've seen thousands of times before in different films. I thought the Marauders or Scavengers or Outriggers or Outriders or whatever you want to call them, I thought they seemed threatening at the beginning, but then we find out that it's basically a, what was she, 17, 18-year-old girl, and they're actually good guys. So and even supposedly the start of the rebellion. We don't have that true threat, and on the flip side of that is we do get an expansion of the universe, and that I thought was really, really good. We get to hear about different sides of the universe. We get to think about the different interplay, that the fact that, we know about the Hutts and Jabba the Hutt, obviously, but Crimson Dawn. And I thought the world building was quite good. It gave us a lot of ideas of where we could go next, because for something that's based in a galaxy far, far away, one of the issues I think in the recent couple of films, particularly The Last Jedi, is it seems more like it's familiar people. We're getting characters who we're supposed to connect with because they're like us. I don't want that. I want it to be a galaxy far, far away. So with Solo, I felt it actually built on that, and we actually got an idea that the universe is big. Now, unfortunately, by doing that, what we've lost is some of the element of the dread, I think, of the Empire. Now, I loved the fact that the Imperial March theme, John Williams' Imperial March theme, was played quite subtly in the background as the advert for Come Join the Empire. I liked that. I thought that was a very good idea. I thought that was very clever, and it worked well. I was very keen on that. I think they missed the opportunity to tell us what's happening with the Empire. They didn't have to make the film about the Empire. It was meant to be that the crime lords and that sort of thing were the focus of what Han's getting himself in for. But I think they had the opportunity to give us an idea of what was happening with the Empire. As soon as there was the prison breakout, a Star Destroyer turned up. Now, is that because they monitor the mining planet and protect their interest in it, so therefore they're basically in the area and an alarm goes off and they respond to it? Why are the Empire there? I think there was more to be told about the Empire that could set us up for future films. Obviously, with a film like this, an origin film, we know certain character beats about Han Solo already, and it was always going to be a checklist type film. I think we all knew that going in. It was going to be, right, okay, how does Han meet Chewie? How does he get his gun? How does he find the Falcon? How does he meet Lando? Etc, etc. We were going to have that explained to us, and there was tick boxes all the way through. So some of it was a little bit heavy-handed. It could have been done a little bit more subtle, but we got to find out some of the things we needed to know. Now, what we didn't need to know, and I really disliked this, was Han's second name, his surname, becoming Solo. Now, again, this might be explained in books or the extended universe that I'm not aware of, but what I couldn't understand is why he wouldn't give across his surname. If there was the inference that his parents were still alive, or he had brothers or sisters, maybe he wanted to give an alias or a different type of name to protect those around him that he loved. But there's no indication of that at all. And for him to sound like he's an orphan with no name, okay, you could go that way, but then later on, as soon as he gets on the Falcon, he says, oh yeah, my dad used to build those. So he knows his dad. He's aware of his dad. He wasn't so small that his parents were killed or he was, or whatever. He had his family around him, so he had a dad. His dad had, so obviously, a family name. Why did it have to be created for him? So I thought that was something in the script where they tried to be clever, and I think it really, really didn't work. It wasn't necessary. It was clunky, it was stupid, it didn't make any sense, it wasn't necessary, and it's a shame they put that in there. One of the things, when I saw the film the first time, and you'll know this because if you've seen my non-spoiler review, is L3. I felt the first time I watched the film is like a parody of the SJWs, the Social Justice Warriors. So many people, myself included, really have an issue with the perceived agendas of Kathleen Kennedy and Rian Johnson, etc., to put into the Star Wars films. And with this droid being so on the nose, so over the top with her message of robot rights and everything else, I actually just laughed at it, but not in a cruel way. When I first saw it, I laughed at it and said, you know what, it doesn't bother me, I thought it was silly. However, having watched the film more times, I can now feel that actually it was a very poorly done character. I didn't like the idea of her being in some form of sexual type relationship with Lando. It's just, why is that necessary? I can understand her wanting droid rights, the idea that, you know, she's sentient and she wants other robots to be sentient, other droids, and she hates the idea of droids fighting each other and that sort of thing. I can understand that, I can get behind that, but it was just too much. It was just too heavy-handed with everything else going on, all the other worries, all the production problems. I think the idea of Lando suddenly becoming pansexual and having you know, sex with robots and everything else. I think it was the last straw. I think that was such a stupid move by the writers and the directors. Now, it sounds like I'm ragging on the film a lot more than I did in my non-spoiler review, and that's because some of the things I've seen when I've seen it with repeat viewings have just irked me a little bit more. But I still have the same feeling coming away from this film. Yes, we didn't necessarily need a Solo movie, but we have a fun film, and I wonder how many people are giving this really negative reviews because they actually felt it wasn't a good film, or because they wanted to make a point of saying, this is what we don't want, this is just another Kathleen Kennedy thing, this is what we don't want to see in future. I don't know. I enjoyed it, and I really, really do hope they do more Solo films. I hope we see more of Han and Chewie, because the relationship between Han and Chewie was brilliant. I loved it. Every time the two of them were together, interfacing, chatting, that was the best bit of the film to me. So still, for me, it gets a B+. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people didn't. I'm really, really sorry that lots of people didn't get to see it because they didn't want to, based off The Last Jedi. I understand that, I honestly do. And if somebody reads this, or watches this review rather, and says, well, dude, I don't care what you say about it, I'm not watching it, I'm not putting money in Lucasfilm pocket after The Last Jedi, I totally understand. Just as I totally understand that there's so many people out there that actually love The Last Jedi. So I definitely would like to see more Solo films. I'd love this to be the first in the trilogy. I think props to Alden Ehrenreich for what was a very, very difficult gig. The negativity was huge for all the cast, really. If you haven't seen it yet and you're put off by the idea that everything you've heard negativity and that sort of thing, go and see it. Don't see it in 3D because you'll really struggle, because it's so dark in places, and also you pay extra, and also 3D is crap. Try it. Go in there open-minded. Just like it if you do like it. Don't like it if you don't like it, but allow yourself the chance to choose for yourself. Please let me know what you think. I really would be keen to know what you think. And from now, I'll see you next time.